Okay, let's unpack this. We've got a reflective framework for conscious transformation, that is.
Well, it's taking a deeply counterintuitive approach to self-improvement.
It really is.
Our source material today is Ewell J. Juliana's work, The Dark Rainbow,
Mm.
Illuminate. And the moment you dive into this, you realize it just flips the script on what we usually think of as chasing the light.
It fundamentally changes the conversation. For you, the listener, who provided this material, the mission here is really crucial. This is not a program for external achievement or perfection.
Right.
It's about building foundational awareness. Juliana has this fantastic quote, "You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems."
That phrase, I mean, that really hit me hard. It suggests all the planning in the world is, useless if your personal operating system is chaotic.
Exactly. And the most compelling idea that sets the whole thing up is the immediate reframing of challenge. Light and darkness are not enemies.
They're partners in growth. The premise is that transformation begins when we stop resisting the difficult parts of ourselves, realizing that darkness is not the enemy, it's information.
That's such a powerful reframe.
Think about it. Your anxiety tells you what you value. Your fatigue tells you where your boundaries are failing. Every intense emotion contains vital data. The dark rainbow is introduced as this symbolic model, a structured system to help us translate that raw emotional data into something useful.
So it's like an emotional filter, moving from the heaviest state to the most integrated. So let's jump right in at the foundation, starting with what sounds like the heaviest color, black. The void of becoming.
Yeah, but black is necessary. It represents stillness, the void, and deconstruction, that fertile, sometimes terrifying space where identity and clarity are reborn.
Right.
Juliana makes a critical distinction here. Silence is not absence. It's not loss. It's preparation. It's where the noise of the external world and your internal chatter fades, and you can finally hear the signals.
But the void is scary. I mean, if you're overwhelmed or burnt out, your first impulse is usually to fill the space with distraction, not stillness.
Of course.
How do you convince your nervous system that this incubation phase, as the source calls it, isn't just regression?
That's where the mindset shift comes in. The body and mind are asking for a reset. If you're collapsing, it means your current system is unsustainable. The goal here is emotional stability through a conscious pause. Moving from the heat of reaction
to the cool space of observation.
Precisely. This phase is about learning to be present in uncertainty.
Okay, so practically speaking, how do we engage with this void without getting, lost in it?
The primary practice nugget they give is the stillness journal. The technique is simple, but really profound. You sit in silence for 10 minutes and you just write down what you notice.
What you notice, like thoughts, sensations.
Anything. Thoughts, sensations, resistant sounds. But critically, you have to do this without judgment. It's a purely descriptive practice.
Ah, I see.
This actively trains you to separate your identity from your experience. You start to realize, I am not the anxious thought. I am the observer of the anxious thought.
That's a powerful tool because once you realize you aren't your current emotional state, you have space to move. And inevitably, once that reset is complete, the energy returns.
It does.
Which brings us charging into red, the fire of desire and life.
Yes, red marks the return of raw life energy. Vitality, motivation, desire. This is the activation color. It can feel like heat, excitement, or even restless impatience.
And this is where the framework challenges conventional self-help, which so often preaches suppressing desire.
It really does. The key insight here is that desire is not the opposite of discipline. It's vital data.
Wait, if desire is vital data, how is that different from just acting impulsively? I mean, if I desire a chocolate croissant at 6 a.m., that's data, but should I act on it?
Right. That's the nuance this framework provides. The difference is conscious direction. The desire is the signal, the data, that something needs fuel or connection or stimulation. The croissant is just one possible answer.
Okay.
A powerful example they use is boredom. Boredom is vital data signaling the need for stimulation or growth. The destructive impulse is scrolling mindlessly, which is depletion. The conscious direction is maybe starting a new project. That's growth.
So the goal isn't to deny the energy, but to give it a channel. Unused, undirected red energy just becomes frustration or anger.
Or burnout. Precisely.
Yeah.
You need to manage the flow. The practice they suggest is the energy audit. It's highly practical. You make 2 lists over a week.
Energy, activities, people, places that nourish you.
Exactly. And energy out the commitments, tasks, or interactions that just drain your life force.
And the purpose of that audit isn't just to feel bad about the long draining list, I assume.
No, it's diagnostic. It helps you see where your energy is being leveraged toward growth versus where it's just leaking away.
Hmm.
If you notice 2 hours of social media is energy out, and 30 minutes of walking outside is energy in, the audit gives you objective data to adjust your system.
So that red energy flows toward growth, not depletion.
Okay.
I mean, moving from that core foundation, we shift into externalizing clarity, which lands us on orange, the movement of creative flow.
Right. After the necessary fire of red, orange feels like flow, curiosity, spontaneity.
It's a bit lighter.
Much lighter. This is the color of genuine adaptation.
Mm.
The energy cultivated in red starts to move freely. And the framework defines creativity not as an artistic skill, you don't have to be a painter,
Right.
but as a natural human function. The ability to generate new, flexible responses to old problems. Creativity is how we navigate change.
I like that reframing. I mean, think about the last time you lost yourself troubleshooting a technical issue at work or figuring out a complex travel itinerary. That's orange in action.
It is. And flow, as it's defined here, requires three things. Openness, which is emotional honesty about where you are, expression, the physical act of creation, and trust.
Trusting the process, surrendering control.
You can't force flow. You prepare for it, and then you step into it.
So for someone feeling stiff or creatively blocked, and let's be honest, who hasn't felt that, how do you practically remind your system that expression is safe?
They offer the 20-minute flow ritual. You choose a non-professional, low-stakes activity, doodling, singing, dancing.
Something with no pressure.
Zero pressure. And you do it for 20 minutes with zero rules, zero goals, and zero expectations. You are not creating a product. You are simply allowing movement. It's designed to decouple expression from performance anxiety.
That makes so much sense. And once you've allowed that free-flowing energy to return, you need to give it direction, structure, which takes us beautifully to yellow, the light of inner authority.
Yellow is about consolidation. It's reclaiming self-trust, clarity, and most importantly, boundaries. The source defines power not as external dominance, but as the ability to stand calmly and centered in your own space.
So leadership in this context is self-direction. It's integrity.
That's it. Power grows when your words, your thoughts, and your actions all match up.
But a lot of people struggle with that. With inner authority, they worry about confrontation or, disappointing others.
And that's a critical point. This framework reframes boundaries specifically to counter that fear. Boundaries are described not as walls to push people out.
But as bridges that protect your energy.
Yes. They are structures of self-respect that allow for healthy connection. They protect your capacity, not your ego.
And the confidence from this yellow phase is described as quiet. It's trusting yourself enough to act despite uncertainty.
Exactly. It says, I may not know what happens next, but I trust my foundation, my drive, and my ability to adapt to handle whatever comes. To anchor this, they detail the alignment check. You identify 3 core values, say, honesty, freedom, connection.
And then you measure your decisions against them.
Every significant decision or action.
What happens when you fail the check? When you realize your actions contradict your values?
That friction is the vital data. The framework says that friction is necessary. If you act against your core values, your confidence dissolves because trust in yourself is fractured. The check is a system for continual, gentle correction.
And when you repeatedly act in harmony with your values, confidence stops being a fragile feeling and becomes a fact.
An observable, reliable fact.
That clarity and confidence set the stage for Section 3, the integration phase, where we move from the self to the collective, starting with green, the healing of the heart.
Right. We transition from self-direction to empathetic connection. Green is the color of healing through empathy and integration. It demands that the strength cultivated in yellow now turns into softness.
It's about transforming pain into understanding.
Exactly. The source emphasizes that true emotional strength is transforming that accumulated pain into usable understanding. Healing isn't erasing the pain, it's integrating the wisdom you gained from it.
The insight on forgiveness here is incredibly powerful. It's presented as an act of liberation, not weakness.
And that's so important. It lets you free up the immense energy required to hold on to resentment without requiring you to just, erase the memory of what happened.
Which leads directly to the discussion of the heart balance, giving and receiving.
We all hear the cliche, you cannot pour from an empty cup. But the framework grounds it by insisting that self-respect must explicitly balance empathy. If you just give without reservation, you deplete your own foundation.
So how do we embody this? How do we move from just knowing this to actually feeling it?
The practice is the heart reflection. This involves writing letters of compassion to yourself or to others involved in a painful situation. But, and this is key, you do it without sending them.
So the focus stays internal.
Exactly. It transforms the pain by shifting the narrative internally, releasing the emotional charge through expression and understanding, not through confrontation.
And following that hard opening of green, we arrive at blue, the voice of truth. Now that the heart is balanced, how do we communicate authentically?
Blue explores authentic communication. And the framework raises the danger of the weight of unspoken words, the idea that withheld truths don't just vanish, they become tension stored in the body.
Leading to stress or even physical blockages.
A peace built on silence is fundamentally fragile.
I see that in daily life all the time. People hold back a necessary truth to avoid 10 minutes of discomfort, and they end up causing 6 months of resentment.
Yes, and here communication is reframed as a service, not a confrontation. And that service requires aligning your voice with your inner truth, speaking from your experience, not from accusation.
So you shift from "you always make me feel X" to "when this happens, I feel Y."
Exactly. It protects the connection while honoring your yellow boundaries.
And the practice for this is the honest conversation. It's almost startlingly simple. Boil down a difficult truth into 3 calm, clear sentences. Why 3?
It forces you to be concise. It minimizes the defensive reaction in the other person. If you can't say it in 3 sentences, you haven't truly clarified what you need to say. It strengthens clarity through intentional communication.
That intentional clarity brings us to the final color before complete integration. Purple, the crown of illumination. This is where it all comes together.
This is synthesis, illumination. It's the merging of stillness, passion, flow, authority, compassion, and truth into one coherent sense of self. And the stillness isn't empty, like black. It's full. It carries deep understanding.
And this is where we can integrate some of that psychological context. This whole process, culminating in purple, it really mirrors the deep work in Jungian psychology, doesn't it?
Absolutely. The entire journey from the unconscious void of black through to the full realization of the self in purple directly aligns with the Jungian process of individuation.
Which means confronting the shadow.
Confronting the shadow, the difficult, unaccepted parts of ourselves, and integrating them, not eliminating them.
And that leads to the core paradox of this color. Illumination isn't about escaping the darkness, but achieving a full acceptance of it.
It's living from awareness and presence rather than striving. The striving we see so often in goal setting can actually be a manifestation of fear of not being enough.
Yeah.
Purple is the confidence that arises when you realize you are already complete.
And the final practice here is the integration review, summarizing the lessons of all the previous colors into a single paragraph.
It's about translating that conceptual insight into an embodied reality. And that comprehensive understanding leads us, finally, to the conclusion of the spectrum. White. The white that contains all darkness.
Wholeness.
Total wholeness. White represents the final integration of all experiences, light and shadow. The source notes that true light isn't pure because it rejects darkness, but because it fully contains it. You are the mirror that holds all 7 fragments, not just the one you prefer.
And this is where we can step back and see the practical benefit. If we look at this through the lens of neuroscience, maybe the polyvagal theory, the entire system is just a masterclass in self-regulation.
It really is. Black is the parasympathetic nervous system demanding a deep reset. Red is sympathetic activation, the mobilized state. Green and blue represent the ventral vagal complex, or co-regulation, where connection and safety allow us to integrate difficult emotions.
So the transformation isn't some single magical event. It's a continuous biological rhythm. Growth becomes lighter, not because life gets easier, but because your awareness, your system, makes the challenges meaningful.
And the ultimate call to action is to treat this as a daily diagnostic tool, the daily spectrum reflection practice. Check in on all 7 colors. Do I need black stillness? Where is my red passion being channeled? Am I allowing orange play?
Checking your yellow clarity, needing green compassion, speaking your blue truth.
And have I achieved my purple insight? It's a daily check-in with your whole self.
So for you, the listener, who came here for the shortcut to being well-informed, the core takeaway is this. The path to systems-level change starts inside, by illuminating the dark spaces you've been conditioned to avoid.
And if you treat your emotions not as threats, but as vital information, as data points necessary for growth, this raises the important question for you to mull on. If you walked, calmly and without judgment, into the deepest shadow you've been avoiding, what hidden, essential light does that difficult part of you truly hold?